forever get my lick back. Peace, divine understanding upon the law. Right. Power equality, Allah, see equality. Knowledge and that understanding, bring about the culture, God. If we stay in the knowledge, understanding, make my brain go right into unknown, because I automatically see, I'ma see 13x. I'ma see that when I see 13. And then that's gonna make you look at the lesson and say, well, that would have been around like 1962, 63, and I would say around 62, 63. That era. It was Clarence 13X then. And then I want to say like inside of 63 going into 64, a man called Allah, right? And so, all right, so that makes you think of Mayor Lindsay. That's got to be the era when Malcolm X was around. Martin Luther King was making moves. Medgar Evers was making moves. Somewhere in that 60s cipher, you see the Black Panther, Black Liberation Army. Well, you know for a fact, if you hear Malcolm's name, then you know Elijah was kicking it from, 34 all the way to 75, right? And then you have, if you're going back that way, if you're going to go back in time, then you're going to see Marcus Garvey, right? You're going to see Marcus Garvey, the Harbinger. And then you're going to see the noble prophet, Drew Ali, right? And then that's going to be up like 1913, even though with him, you could go all the way back to 18-something because he's born in the wilderness of North America. And then you're going to see 1910 is W.D. Farrar, right? So that's that package for 13 when you're looking at 13. And so that's because you could cross-reference 13. You can also go right straight to Master if you want. Right? You can go right to Master, or you can go, that's going to take you into 360 if you go into the Master, right? And then, because if you quote the degree, the alphabet, you're going to see 360 inside of the degree, quoting it. It's going to be telling you about the Master in 360 degrees. No. That's what he was talking about. It was the Marine part. I'm going to come back to the other thing, but with the knowledge understanding. But the reason why I brought it into the Marine part is because the president uses the Marines as his arm when it's foreign policy. Most of the time they use the judges, prosecuting attorneys for the internal, right? Because look, you see, just say president, governor, mayor, right? And then you know the military apparatus, and the military apparatus is not like conventional war anymore. I mean, it was never doing conventional war on us. Well, I wouldn't say never, but in Wilderness, North America, they were doing more of a prisoner of war camp to the original people, more so than straight out war. Because you already were the defeated nation. You already had lost the war. The ones that are captured and kidnapped and persecuted unjustly, tortured, Geneva Convention all over it, right? And so, because their culture is to suppress, within their culture, they suppress, right? You had the kings and the nobles, and they suppressed they called them peasants. The commoners, the little people, what else did they call them? You know, look at Game of Thrones. So in Europe, it would have just been pretty much a dominant European population, and they broke themselves up into tribes and families, right? And the dominant tribes would enslave the weaker tribes, right? How long has domination over the weaker been going on the planet? Give or take. Maybe 6 grand you can count. Maybe. I think it's more like 5. Could go down to 4 grand, but 4 grand and something, pretty much. Because in the old days, and in the old world, before the European became a colonizer and invented black, brown, red, yellow, white, which is Negroid, Caucasoid, Mongoloid, pseudo-scientific racism, until he invented that, he couldn't get all of the Europeans to go along with it, with that propaganda. But if you look, you'll see their academia. Everybody knows it's been proven to not be true now. But the extent that they went through to do it means that there's people still to this day that feel to some certain degree that color ratio, black, brown, red, yellow, white, is real. You'll hear people with PhDs, BAs, even low as 65 credits, teach in the school system and within the common language, black, brown, red, yellow, white. What? I bet you the whole America, all 50 states, knows what, when you say black, brown, red, yellow, white, there's a picture that goes in their head. Just like if you say, Friday the 13th, right? If you say Friday the 13th, right? What happens to people when they think about Friday the 13th, right? It goes all the way back to the Knight Templars. That's still dealing with the Europeans and the conquistador and the Franks, and not so much the Goths on that side, because we was on this side. So the colonizers that we had to deal with from Alaska to Chile is mostly French, English, Spanish, Portuguese. A little bit of Italian, but they don't come till later on this side, and they're mostly coming in having problems. Them and the Irish are having problems, and the Jewish people and the English. The Amish and all them, they're Germany type people. They don't really mingle with the English. At least that's what they said to me. They have communities, and they have something like farmers markets. I meant to tell you all about that. Back in the day, we used to go to their places too and get food. They had right and exact vegetables, and everything they do is old school. Even though on the DL, they got technology. They use technology too, but it's not the dominant manifestation within their culture like it is in the Western culture of America, especially from 50 states. Not so much, I wouldn't say from Alaska to Chile, but I would say from Alaska to Florida, easy, and from California to Maine. We could put that X right there and do that. So anyway, we do the knowledge and the understanding. So if you knowledge your understanding, or you knowledge it, or knowledge understanding, just go with knowledge understanding. Automatically makes you deal with 13. And so in today's society, we talking about Friday too. So in today's society, we talking about Friday the 13th. I can't get the Knight Templars out of my head on that date when France and England and the Vatican, the nobles of France, England, the Vatican, and on the DL, the nobles in Germany, not so much their nobles, but their academia, their bankers and all of that. You can find out which tribes those bankers and those traders were. They were dealing with trade, not like they was a trader, but they were like John Hardy Hawkins Jr., they was that kind of a trader. And so they were on the Silk Road and Damascus and all those places like that in those days. Byzantine, Istanbul, Constantinople, right? But before that, the Hittites were there, and before them, you see what I'm saying? Pretty much, the Hittites is pretty good ancient hit right there, right? And so we're gonna climb back up across, and that's how that mathematics walk and talk. You can walk and talk it, because what you're doing is you're looking at the math, and you see those numbers, and those numbers are manifestations that lead you throughout time. They can go forward or back. Like you could go back and look at history, or you could go look forward and make it's not an educated guess, it's more of a mathematical equation, and you work it out and you say that's the better path based on the equation. But we'll even see the mathematical equation even when we don't know and understand the math, but we'll see it as man, woman, child. You'll see it, and then you might make a bad decision, because in your gut it'll say, you know, like you have your gut brain, your heart brain, and your brain. I say it like that so people get it. Like the one that's in your cranium is, you're doing more of your intellectual thinking with that one. But those other two down there are talking to that one more than it's talking to them. And then your gut said something to the effect, and you didn't listen. See? They call it, and then you go and you look hindsight and you go, you know what? But anyway, fate is what it is, and you're only supposed to use that so that you don't make certain moves at future. Look at the past, you know what went down when you made that bad move. Well, you still got time to correct it, right? So anyway, the Knight Templars, they tried to correct their move. So that's why they switched from the Catholic Church to the Protestant movement and went inside them. Because Masonry in England is a Protestant movement. It comes in back of Martin Luther after Martin Luther stood up against the Roman Catholic Church. And so the route to Masonry is Solomon, really. That's their whole manifestation, is Solomon. The foundation is Solomon. The temple, the arch, the bunkers, the chambers, right? Come on, the rings, the talismans, all the different signs, symbols, token grids, and signs and the symbols. That's what I wanted you to look at. The signs and the symbols. You'll see the people walking around with their signs and symbols. Today we still do everything that we did in the old days pretty much, but just subconsciously. We have what is called amnesia. And we have Stockholm Syndrome. And I'm talking about all of the people on Earth who are not part of the 10%. If you 85% or you 5%, then you definitely have Stockholm Syndrome. I don't care where you at on Earth. Okay, how can I prove that? Watch this. I guarantee when you talk to the people, even the people who have lessons might not know that the UN is a construct. Simply put, the way they, okay, cause see, they'll be going, I can hear them now. Oh, what you, there's a flag there and this, that, and the third, and Dude, that shit is still based off the colonizer. You have no UN in the way it is structured now. You have none of that before World War II. The way it was structured prior to World War II, it wasn't there before World War I. Right? And then prior to that, you have those nations that got together with like John Hardy Hawkins Jr. and all of them, and they carve up a continent without the people on the continent even know they're being carved up. See? Then you keep going back. As you keep going back, you see it's that as you travel back, and you don't have to go that far before, pretty much before 1555, you don't see no black, brown, red, yellow, white. That is not on the planet. That's made up shit. That shit's not. It's not scientific. It's pseudo-scientific racism tied into a bunch of other crazy shit that you'd have to read like 3 different books to get a real C on it. I would start you off with Message to the Black Man. Start there. If you're a Wisdom Myself Divine Cipher Master, you should read the ISIS papers in your opening. After you need the ISIS papers, because now you'll see that the color confrontation, get that too. Whenever I think of Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, I always think of Dr. Mindy. Even though they don't even know each other, never talk, they science ain't nowhere near whatever's going down, but when you know how to connect the dots, and you say post-traumatic slave syndrome and all of those different traumas that all the indigenous people suffered on the planet, because all I have to do is ask you what language you speak, and I'm gonna know how much damage you have. You see, if your foundational language is a European language, you have been colonized, and You've been colonized. It is what it is. Now, watch this. You could be a European and have been colonized too, because they gave up. They anglicized and everything and gave up their nationality, their culture, and their creed to become American. I'm an American. And they'll anglicize their last name. See? Watch. Just look it up. The fact checkers aren't even fact checking that because they know already. See, when the fact checkers, they're checking facts that on something that they don't know that you said that is not common knowledge or in the scientific community or the medical community or the anatomy and physiology community or the astrological community or whichever community the scientific part of that community that knows how it's really being made manifest. They're the ones that really run it as far as its intellectual ideology. And so those people, when you are speaking, they're like an AI. It doesn't take long for them to know whether if you know what you're talking about or you don't, right? So, once you establish that you're listening to someone and they know what they're talking about in their field, then you can preserve the best part for yourself. Because everybody's going to have some form of bias based on who they are and what they have gone through, unless they're like a legal-minded person where they're able to separate themselves from the mathematical equation, right? Scientists like to do it. I'm just going to let the evidence, I'm going to just follow the evidence. That's when you know you're not biased. You just follow the evidence. I don't give a fuck where it leads me. I'm game. Let's go see what it says. Versus, I want to hear their narration of it. No, I don't want to hear your goddamn narration. I want to go to the excavation site, which we live in New York, so it's so easy for you to just go to the museum and go look for yourself. There's no one talking like on TV. You go look with your own eyes. All right, so the first time you go and you start into this world, if you start off with the excavation site, you're going to be kind of lost. But you could catch up if you backtrack, you reverse engineer it. But if you do it according to you getting it the way we got it, young enough where we couldn't go anyway to those places. So we read the books first and read it from people who went there themselves, and they show you what happened. So now you need a reputable person. Like, if you what is the ulterior motive to the person giving up the information is, because it could be showing you something that's an excavation site, but then they be putting their propaganda in it, right? It's almost the same way they'll be disrespectful to the ancient and old religions. And they'll be acting like this new upstart religion they got is the real truth of everything. And everything in the ancient days, oh, that's not real. You see what I'm saying? So, they'll be disrespectful to any grave site, any tombs. Anthropologists are just grave robbers with a fancy name and some new papers to make it look like they're not grave robbers. They be telling each other that they're not grave robbers. See, that's what they do. They bounce their lies off of each other and say shit like, oh, we're the most advanced civilization ever on this planet. But they know when they're sitting amongst themselves and the papers that, the dissent papers, because it'll be 12 colleagues, 2 of them will be racist and be talking that racist shit. 3 more will roll with them because they pussy. And so the other ones won't have enough power to speak against it. Because if they do, they'll get smashed because okay, I don't want to get spooky, but the second degree and the 1 to 10, they running shit right now. Believe that. They running shit right now. Believe that. Right? And you can take that to the bank and all that good shit. You remember that movie? And you can take that to the bank. Right? So, like the man said, I said that to say, that's what the knowledge and the understanding will bring when you're looking at the culture. See? And as soon as you think about the culture, what's the first thing come in your mind? They stripped you of your name, rank, and serial number. No, that's some military shit. That's VA program me too. They got me too, dog. I'm with y'all. I got BD-214 too. They got me. It's just that when you got 120, when you put it on your brain, and you put that math and that alphabet, you put that on your brain, and then you add on. Like you said, you got your math, you got your alphabet, you got 120 now, and you got it like the old school way, from 1 to 120, right? All right, now there's other formulas in there, but I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about this formula we got. Because I'm rolling with this formula because that's the formula that made me see what I see and how I see it. That's why the guard said, how did you see that? And I said, I didn't really see it at first. What happened was when I was listening to Messiah, and he said, knowledge is wisdom, myself, divine, cipher, master. And everybody got quiet. Well, in that point, I didn't know what he said. Like, I knew the word. You don't know, right? Even if he just said, King now cipher, Lord, divine. King now cipher, wisdom, Lord, divine, God, even if he had said that, right? And then went in back of it and said, wisdom, myself, divine, cipher, master. You know every one of those words, right? But you have no idea what he just said. That's what I'm saying. Because you didn't know mathematics and the alphabet. You didn't know them. So that was mixing it right there, wasn't it? If I say knowledge is wisdom, myself, divine, for me to spell it out, I have to use the alphabet. It's no way you can. So I don't understand when people say, don't mix it. You can't talk then. Mathematics walk and talk and live. And you can't communicate with no one without using alphabets. It just doesn't make sense to me to say that. I don't get it. You need to convince me on that one. I don't get that one because you're automatically using them as one. Everybody on the earth uses their math and their alphabets together. No one separates it. All the way back in the ancient days, they didn't even have different characters for it. The Hebrew letters, the Aramaic, all of them. What? This is really truth here. So if I look at street and I say, save the truth, rule, equality, equality, truth, right? But in my mind, I really see 19, 20, 18, 5, 5, 20. You see what I'm saying? How can you not use math and alphabets together? Even when you say you're not doing it, and we don't do it, and all that, you're doing it right when you're saying we don't do it. Because you're talking to me. It's vibration, sound, So anyway, we're going to go back to 1913. Because that's a 13 too, right? So 1913 is like 14,999. And then you hit 15,000. So from the year 8,400, you hit the year 9,000. From the year 9,000, you run all the way up into 15,000. That's how you're going to know where you at now. That's your base of operation. You use 1914 as your base operation. You're going to be able to travel up. If you want to go back in the back, you're going to use 8,400, 8,367. You're going to know these numbers. Those are going to be the mathematical equations. Just like when you look at that 360, you're going to know Yaku went 360, but he went in the wrong direction, put him 720 degrees off those extra 6 degrees that he would, to illusion. That's what you see the matrix. That's why I said the UN and all that shit is the matrix. That shit is not real. It's not real. It's like a... Okay, you want to see a real border? The Atlantic Ocean is a real border. See? That's a border. Even those mountains that separate the East Coast from the Midwest, that's more of a border than those psychological borders they use. Without the bridges, there's a autonomic and an automatic look and see on the river. You automatically see it. I don't need to put a Gestapo like checkpoint for you to know that there's a river there. The river checks you. And then you look and you go, oh, Manhattan is an island, and Long Island is an island for real. And on that island are those figment of our imagination that they put in there with a construct called a matrix, and they made you think that Brooklyn County is King, that Brooklyn is Kings County. Peace. So they make you look at Kings County, Queens County, then you go Suffolk County, and keep on going, right? Nassau, Suffolk, whatever the case may be. But what I'm saying is those are figments of your imagination that they put that construct in your brain. Because that shit is not real. That's what I'm saying. So can you walk around and see the real and the not real? Is your awareness like that? When you get to that level, then you go, oh, okay. Now, see, why do you need all those tools? Because you need to be able to navigate through this shit and come out on top. Because we already, I don't know, we're about 500 years behind. And we got amnesia, among other things, post-traumatic slave syndrome. We had that other syndrome where you love the captor. We just wrecked. The dudes are coming out of it a little easier than the women. Because for them to come all the way out of it, we have to totally close ranks. If we don't totally close ranks, they're gonna go with the one who looks stronger. And the colonizer looks stronger because he's better organized and pretty much running this shit right now. Cause you're running things if you in those dominant places. As a majority, we ain't really running it. We just starting to wake up with the bricks and this and that. Not to your fault. You did kill every time your leaders can galvanize you and get you together. He makes sure he kills them all. He goes from he goes from Capricorn to Tropic of Cancer and takes them out. Goes all the way around the planet. Takes them all out. Every 20 or 30 years, he's banging them in the head. He's a pharaoh like a motherfucker. He's damn for sure down to kill your firstborn. He's getting really outrageous with it now because I used to be he just was trying to kill the knowledge seed. Now he's trying to kill the knowledge and the wisdom. He ain't gonna let you get no understanding. Believe that. So those who know what I'm talking about, who he coming for your throat, son. Believe that. But anyway, we going to the next level. So the next hit, so you would be like, okay, so where we going from there? There's gotta be a remedy. Well, the opening is a remedy. And if you know about that one, that's all a remedy too, yeah. That opening, yeah, that's a remedy too, but I'm saying, right. So, our opening is at 3-day fast. Can you get 17 million black and brown people to do a 3-day fast all on the same day? I wonder. Because if he was going according to the degree, and that wouldn't really be religious, cultural, creedal. It would be more natural to the nature of the universe. And every 28-day cycle, you would do a 3-day fast. That's how it works with the Wisdom Myself Divine Cipher Master. And you would switch over as every zodiac changes as a Master Asiatic now. That's why I said when you get your math and your alphabet, you got 120, then they gave you your 12 jewels. That's your wages and everything. You got paid now. Jewels, right? 12 of them. Every precious metal or whatever, gold, sapphire, emerald, rubies, diamonds, palladium, platinum, all that, cobalt, copper, all the good shit. Some people even had some mercury, the liquid metal, right? Put it in glass. You want to have it in your lab. Keep it away from children. I don't recommend carrying it around a lot because it's it's off the chain. But anyway, I'm just saying, back to the lab. That's what you're doing, right? That was back then, right? Back to the lab. And so we keep traveling, and we still didn't get off that knowledge and the understanding, right? Because then we're going to say, now we know that around 64, definitely, he was a man called Allah. And then from there, you go all the way to 69. And in that era, from 64 to 69, the colonizer wiped out every leader you had. I mean, that sounds crazy, right? Not everyone, right? No, everyone, and then their lieutenants tried to hold it down. Even the ones that was leaders that they didn't get to kill, they ran them out the country, or they imprisoned them, or they poisoned them later, and they made them so scared they didn't want to do it. Remember, Elvis Cleveland went into the Mormon thing to hide from the Europeans from getting at him. And they go various places. That little lady went to Cuba, and then they probably got her back to Africa, and she living a great life somewhere in the middle of Africa. They can't find her. That country's so big, you'd never find nobody. They don't want you to find them. You ain't never gonna find them because it's just too big. Even with a satellite, you can't find them. Man, that is some big ass country. You have no idea how big it is till you try to. See, like flying from New York to Seattle, you can get a one-way flight. I don't know. You probably could get one now because of the way it is set up. But usually it's a two-way flight if you're trying to go from... It's a stopover. It's like if you're trying to go from one side of Africa to the other side. Ain't a lot of direct. Because it's that big. It's like if you leave New York and you go to Morocco, most of them jets have to refuel there. They can't fly from New York all the way to Cairo unless they big as fuck. They gotta be like those military planes that take the troops and carry shit far away. They can stay in the air for 15 hours and refuel in the air and go another 15. But that's some different shit. So they'd be up there 30 hours if they wanted. They could pretty much get anywhere. They go either way because of where the Alaska to Chile is situated. If you go the other way, you going that way. If you go that way, the Atlantic or the Pacific. The Pacific run is the biggest run. That's why they like to go out of either Hawaii, which puts them in the middle, or they like to go out of Seattle and Alaska and all that, because that's right there, right? So that's a little geography about that, because it still takes me back to how the Knight Templars was dealing with geography and banking. And so they knew it's too heavy and there's too many bandits on the road. But in every one of our banks will have gold, diamond, rubies, emerald, sapphire, silver, copper. We'll have all of that. And so you deposit your gold, whatever it is you wanted to go on vacation to Morocco, and you lived in Spain. And so you might have said, I'm not going to do the ship thing. I'm going to make this a nice little vacation. And so I'm going to take it all the way around the Mediterranean. I'm going to hit the coast of the Mediterranean and go around till I get to Morocco. That could be a nice little trip, right? But all along those ports, the Knight Templars had little banks, for lack of a better word for them. I don't think they called it particularly a bank, but they had all that gold. They could match anything you put in one of their banks somewhere else. They gave you a note that said how much you had, and they sealed it and all that, and they knew it was theirs, and you couldn't trick them. And so they would, you would give that to whoever it was at the other end, at the end of your journey, or when you wanted to get some money out of it, and they could adjust it for you, adjust the note. Oh, he only wants 1 bag of silver and 1 bag of gold. It's gonna be 30 pieces of silver in that one, and it'll be 3 ounces of gold in that other bag, right? And they'll break it up from 1/10 to ounce, right? So, and they'll subtract that from that note, and then they'll give you a new note. That's how they did it, all right? And so you could go anywhere you want. So the wealthy people felt a little more secure now because they didn't have to ride with their stupid gold all everywhere they going, and it's heavy and shit. And they didn't want to do that. So then after the war, you owe, because wars are expensive. They cost money. To do a war, it costs money. You need money to, how you gonna pay the wages of the mercenaries and what else you got going down? And so they owed a whole lot of money. The Roman Catholic Church owed money. France's monarch owed a whole lot of money. Spain's monarch owed crazy amounts of money. So did Portugal, and so did England. All of them owed crazy amounts of money to the Knight Templars, and they didn't want to fucking pay. So they all got together. See, this is still 13, right? They all got together and plotted and schemed and came up with a plan to have a wedding and call all the major dignitaries. And so in them days, the Knight Templars would have been like the Jedis coming too. So they sent the officers there. The regular Jedi was like, I don't want to go to that corny shit. We'll stay back and watch the temple, because they was in the temple. And they didn't think nothing of it because they really worked for the Roman Catholic Church. But by the time they got to that wedding, they already had charges against them that they was like Frankenstein's people, the warlocks, witches, goblins, Satan, Malbosia, Mephisto. They was vampires. They went crazy on their ass. And they gave them pretty much a Spanish Inquisition type trial without them even being there. And they condemned them all. And then when they came to the wedding, all them officers came to the wedding. They came with their regalia, but not really to go to war and fight. And the story goes that they got him into an arena, like in a courtyard, for the wedding, and everybody's in on it except for the Knight Templars. They don't know, and all the nobles kind of get the word to like leave them fools right there in the middle, and they kind of crossbowed most of them, and the major ones they crossbowed, and then the ones who was left they tortured and made them say they was down with Satan, and then they wrote up mad books saying that they was down with Satan. But by then, they knew that they wasn't going. They knew that no matter what they said, they was going. If you didn't say you was down with Satan, they was going to kill you. And if you said you was down with Satan, they was going to kill you. So you was going no matter which way it went down, because they didn't want to pay that motherfucking money. And so, long story short, they ended up pretty much killing everybody But they wouldn't break. They wouldn't say they was down with Satan because they was like, fuck you. But they was real soldiers, or they was like, you got us. But they was giving out the code words and this, that, and the third, and their leader gave a good ass speech when they thought he was going to submit to their bullshit. He wouldn't go for it. So he gave a good ass speech, one of them famous speeches, and most of them he put a curse on them, but we know that was him telling his people. Because remember now, they was similar to a secret society themselves because they had to do things for the Roman Catholic Church. They was the assassins, they was the soldiers, they was the Army and the Marines and the Navy. They was all three. They was Army, Navy, Marines. They didn't really have an Air Force except for those pigeons and them Hawks and all that. They had those. That was their Air Force. The Hawks they had and the pigeons, them carrier pigeons and shit like that. The dogs, they was using canines back then too. They had horses, they had heavy armor, light armor. And they had long spears, short spears, long sword, short sword, extra long like that. Winter's like Stark had in Game of Thrones. That when they first started, he had that big ass sword and they melted it down, turned it into two. They was having big shit like that, right? They had a big old Clydesdales and all that kind of shit, right? But they had their shit together because they had went to the middle. They had went and did a lot of studying in North Africa. And by being in North Africa, they came back smarter than a motherfucker. And so the Vatican and them didn't like them knowing about. Okay. I know it sounds like, because America make you think, and the way the Western society make you think they so fucking advanced that they make you think that back in those days that when they went to learn in Egypt, that Egypt didn't know about microscopic animals and shit like that, but they did. Right, so, they knew about those things. They knew about the similar stuff. They knew about planets and stars and quasars that people just started finding out about now. They knew about them already in the ancients. So don't let them gas you up into acting like, this is the most advanced this planet has ever been. No, it is not the most advanced it's ever been. It's the most barbaric it has ever been. It's never been this barbaric. How do you know? Because when we go back and we look at the planet in its levels, we don't see this kind of a footprint from none of the societies. None of the ancient civilizations did this type of pollution and disregard for nature and this I don't give a fuck attitude and entitlement attitude that comes with that pseudoscience and that Hardy Hawkins Jr. and that 1555 and that. It just keeps leading you right back to Negroid, Caucasoid, and Mongoloid. That's their root. They can act like they let that go. They ain't let that go, dog. That shit is, they still holding that. That's my word is bond. They ain't letting that go. Ain't no anthropologist on this planet today letting that go. Because that's the foundation to their whole shit. They let that go. Dude, I'm telling you, in between, when you look at the paperwork, right, you see Negroid, Caucasoid, Mongoloid, and then they modify it a little more when you go to the next level. And then the next level they go to, they make that, they bring the religious part in with it. That's when you see Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Ishmael. They bring that in on that side. And then they connect it all together. And you're fucked. Pretty much. Because now they done misappropriated, stole, camouflaged, and everything else. They done hidden and robbed and What? Now, the point of the matter is when you say it, everybody knows they did it as soon as you get into university, not at the juniors. When you get at the remedial college, you just trying to get your 65 credits and catch up because you went to public school. It's real talk. And so now after you get out of public school, you really don't know nothing. maybe the basics. I hope that you got your math. Because if you got your math and your English, that's pretty much the only thing public school is worth a fuck about, is math and English. Anything after that, social studies, social living, how the shit really work, get money, all right, you ain't getting nothing out of that. You even know how to do a W-2 when you get out of high school. You don't. They don't teach you that. They don't teach you how to get dressed. They don't, none of that. So you're not prepared. But if you leave out of the 50 states or you go to a real private school that's not part of Rockefeller, and I ain't talking about Jay-Z, there's a Rockefeller. No. I'm talking about the Rockefellers. Their ideology of what school is about and what the public school system is about is how they trick you into staying in. Because, all right, we know they trick you into staying in the matrix, but everybody's not going to be the store owner, but that's why it works well when we do tribes and families and all the entrepreneur motherfuckers will hire people. Everybody doesn't have to be the entrepreneur. We just gotta have them. It's not. You gotta have an infrastructure. See, when you think infrastructure, but our people have assimilated themselves and they look at the American infrastructure and they just say we're part of that infrastructure. And that would have been beautiful if the ruling class would be in agreement with you. See? But they're not, because they still run their shit the way they ran it way back. They're kings opposite our kings. Our kings was based on high intelligence and able to galvanize and motivate the people in a positive manner towards helping Mother Earth and all humanity. And their kings was murdering, kill every motherfucker, get me some more murdering motherfuckers that ain't having it, and make some peasants, and then, okay, now we'll be nice. You see what he did? What did he do? He conquered he conquered the 10 realms. The 10th realm was so off the chain that he banished the 10th realm. And then he kept the 9 realms. And after that, he didn't want to go any further. He said, I'm just going to rule this. And now, all of a sudden, you're benevolent. And then your children rule, and then they got a dynasty going. That's how they would do it. But the first opening is Conan the Barbarian. You see what the Lannisters did. If they ain't barbarian you, they stealing your shit, or they swindling you out of your shit, or they getting it from you. You see what they just tried to do to those people that had those farms in Alabama. They write some crazy ass legislation to try to help them steal your shit. So if they could get 1/5 or whatever it is you got, they could try to petition the state and take it all. And so in the old days, they could do it, and the motherfucking state and the city would help them take your shit. See, now if you say it's the documents are there, but when you say it now, motherfuckers get in their feelings. Right? It's just like, to me, if you look back at World War II, and you say, from World War II, then by 1945, you hit like 1948, and all that era, them 40s, man, listen. The shit that they did in that era is falling apart now. And everybody that they could hide it in those days easier, because communication between the regular people was not like it is now. And so now we all got a body of accumulated facts that we can understand, and we can see it for ourselves in real time. And that's why everybody sees shit different. In the old days, you had to be a real researcher to see shit. Now, you can just turn on, what's the new thing they got? TikTok. Go on TikTok. I might have said that right. TikTok, tick, something. It ain't tic-tac-toe. It ain't tic-tac-toe, but it's TikTok, I think, yeah. So if you go on TikTok and any of the other, they call them social media, but social media is the regular people are using it to show each other their faces and bodies and whatever else they're doing. But the people who are using it to tell the regular people what the fuck is going on in real time, they the one they mad at. And they can't control it because now everybody's Jimmy Olsen and everybody's Lois Lane. And you can't stop them because those kind of reporters and those kind of cameramen, they might not help you, but they going damn for sure tell. Oh, you done. Because if you know how to use your phone right, somebody's doing some crazy shit and you too scared to do anything, but you can have them going live. Like, this is live. He trying to kill that motherfucker right now. This is live. Shh, I'm trying to be quiet. See? And you get the whole shit. And they'll be done, not even knowing. That's what I'm saying. This is world shit hand now. You can't just do any old crazy shit because somebody saw you. Trust and believe somebody saw you. And some idiot was videoing you. And they just want to get hits. It ain't personal. They just want likes and all that kind of shit. And they're gonna tell. Believe it, they're gonna tell. And so the system is not able to hide the truth. The media, the people who ran the media, they used to have a lock on that. They don't got a lock on it no more. Other countries, everybody is inside the internet. It's just, you can't hide it no more. So you can go ahead and do whatever crazy shit you want to do, but everybody is looking at you going. I don't care if you can only suppress the people you have control over. If you got control over Hollywood and the Senate and the representatives, and you got control over the judges and the police, and you got control over the monetary system, the banking, the centralized banking system, and you see that shit's falling the fuck apart. Because even right now, you could have banking that's not connected to FDIC and all that. You could have, there's not centralized banking is over. They got no more power in that. And so they're getting madder as the fucking Armageddon war is escalating and they losing ground like a mother, man. Right? They've been losing ground since 1914. That's my word. Look, you see what happened? The height of their ideology, their racist ideologies, blonde hair, blue eyes, and all that, right? And both times the World War I was started in Germany. World War I Germany, World War II Germany. And then what happened? Then they came up with that Balfour and all of that shit, and the UN and all that craziness, and that's America, England, France. Because remember, France had the Foreign Legion. That's how we got into Vietnam War. France is getting their ass kicked by the Vietnamese. That's my word is bond. The Vietnamese was handing them their ass. And so they said they gave it to America. That's where that colonel, bad motherfucker, right? He said, I'm going to be the first one to step my foot off this helicopter and put my foot on Vietnam. And I'm going to be the last one. All my men going to get the fuck out of here before. Because they tried to take him out when they was losing. Because they was about to get overrun. And they wanted to get him out of there. Command wanted him out. They did not want that colonel to stay there. But in the real world, and the real army, and how we really roll, once they drop us behind the line, you really not fighting for nobody but the dude next to you. And if you got a colonel like that, everybody gonna be down because of the way it's structured. I'm not saying good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just showing you how people work, structured that way, or make them do things because it'll be bigger than themselves. See, if the cause is bigger than the individuals, then it's hard to stop it. If it's just an individual thing, You know how when they'll have that entertainment world have a lot of personality worship. As soon as that person dies, it's like the franchise kind of is never the same because it's one motherfucker. They can keep playing the music and this, that, and the third, but it's not the same. And so, but when it's an ideology, like the culture is God, that ideology, you can't stop that. So, okay, COINTELPRO was able to, like you'll hear the older guards and all them bickering about this, that, and the third when it comes to we didn't do what we should have did, or we did what we did, or this and that, and right? And that's that internal civil war kind of thing we having with ourselves, or they having with themselves, because I wasn't at that level. That's that right there 60, 70 level where COINTELPRO went crazy on the lambs wool in the wilderness in North America. But most of us weren't either not born or we were so young as children that era didn't get us. We don't really be in effect to the end of the 70s, coming into the 80s and 90s. That's when we get our propaganda, right? Because now we grown and whatever the case may be. But the old guards didn't tell us to do up north things. They always told us. Matter of fact, I remember that we didn't even know that they was getting felonies and all that. We didn't know that. That's not what they was telling us. They told us to get trade, profession, go to school, go to college, go to university, get into politics, change things from the inside. Look at the guard Ron. He went to the police, the other guy went to the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, college, university, solid and all them trying to become politics and all that. People be down south screaming on them, buying houses. That's what they told us to do. And when he said, oh, are you considering yourself a successful guy? Well, to say that, it got to be some people that was unsuccessful. All right? And so what are you basing success on? Are you basing it on the economic growth department? Well, if that's the case, the whole Asiatic nation, lambs wool in the wilderness of North America is not doing that great. You ain't by yourself. I mean, you talking about you went to jail, you in good company. They threw Jesus in jail. They threw Martin Luther King in jail. They threw Malcolm in jail. Hell, they like to throw motherfuckers in jail. Paul, John, Marcus Garvey, Noble Ali, just Bob Marley. They throw everybody in jail to go against all the Panthers. Everybody go to jail. You in good company, like Paul Mooney said. You in good company. He threw Jesus in there. You in good company. See? It's the Roman soldiers. What did the Mobile Prophet say? The Roman soldiers are still here. Rome ain't went nowhere. You hear them talking about the Senate. What you think that is? The conquistadors are still here. Doing that conquistador shit. They still here doing that shit. And everybody got the Cooney Woonies. Right? The English got their coons, the Spanish got their coons, the Portuguese got their coons. That's pretty much what you've seen in the wilderness of North America. France, Portugal, Spain, a little bit of Italy and a little bit of Germany, but mostly England and them motherfuckers. Mostly England ruling shit, France, Spain, Portugal. Yeah, when I'm over here from Alaska to Chile, that's what the fuck I see. The colonizers I see. So if you're talking about reparations, them motherfuckers owe. Portugal owe like a motherfucker. Spain owe, god damn they owe. England, you could just forget it. You go bankrupt, you owe so much. Shit, you owe motherfuckers all the way in India, you owe. Remember? They was fucking crazy. They went bananas. And then that's gonna kick it right down to South Africa. They owe them. What? They owe people that they wiped out. There's no genetic code for those people no more. We can't even give them no money. They're all gone. Can you imagine the whole DNA code is gone? We did the DNA comparisons and checked everything already. Just go to Ancestry.com and all that. They pretty much marked all the DNA. And we already know what you destroyed because it ain't been that long where we can't get carbon dating from things that you made extinct. Believe that. See? So that's what I'm saying. No respect for the all in all of the mind and the universe is mental. Inside of the mind of the all in all. Well, they ain't got no respect for that shit because they think they could outdo it. They think they smarter than nature and everything. They think they can make babies better, and they can make food better, and they can grow plants better. Everything they think they can do, like that shit is obsolete to them. Like, you don't know what you're doing, Mother Earth, growing things. We could grow shit better. We could genetically modify it. We could do all kind of shit. We could splice it. We could do this. You heard the last poet. I'm God, I'm God, I'm God, I'm God, I'm God, I'm God, I'm God. Spelled backwards is God. What? Holler at me. Telling me I ain't right? Fuck out of here. Motherfuckers are crazy. So, narcissistic attitude, the ruling class. And you other motherfuckers who ain't ruling shit and don't really got no real say in it, riding with these motherfuckers like they right and exact, you're an idiot too. I'm down with my man Howard Zinn. He said, you can't be neutral on a moving train. Well, so you neutral motherfuckers are the worst. There's nothing worse than neutrality ass motherfuckers, because you really on that other motherfucker side, but you too pussy to tell this side that you are. You too pussy to really do whatever they're doing. So what fucking good are you? The only way you're supposed to be neutral is you women and children. Ain't no man. You on one side or the other, motherfucker. Pick. You don't really gotta pick, because they're gonna pick for you. Okay, you know what it makes me think of? I had just left the African on William Street. 1 William Street. And for whatever argument we had got into based on, it was an argument over lamb's wool in the wilderness of North America and lamb's wool in Africa, and whatever the case may be, right? So he didn't like my answers. And so his idea was that him and I weren't really the same, because he's African and I'm here in America. And I said, so when the European is standing over there and me and you are standing right here, what does he see? Nah, I hear crickets. Nah, he mad. And then that night, they shot Armadillo. Not to say I was trying to prove anything with that, but what I was saying was, when the police saw Armadillo, they didn't say to themselves, oh, that's one of those African blacks, we're not going to shoot him. No, this is what they see. They see lamb's wool, and they named you Negro and Negroid and Caucasus, and they named themselves Caucasoid. And then they narrow it down in America to calling you black and them white. And they let off like 41 shots on his ass. And they say, oh, we thought his wallet was a gun. You know that's bullshit. That's just what we say, because what we gonna say? We gotta say something, so we gonna say that. See, they all say that. Oh, I was afraid. I was scared for my life. It's a dangerous place. Yeah, maybe even the hood might be dangerous, but they ain't shooting at you. They shooting at each other, so you're lying. And you never shoot at the gangsters and the real kilo carriers. You never hear them saying, dude was running down the block with a kilo and a 9mm AK-47 shooting at an armor and just letting us have it. No. You hear this. This nigga was running down the block because he owed child support, and this dude shoots him in the back. He didn't even have a gun. The other nigger cop was a goddamn coon, gonna throw his gun, the spare gun he got, the throwaway gun or whatever the fuck. But he don't know dude way down the block videoing him. That's what I was talking about. You be thinking you doing some secret agent shit wherever you at, whatever you doing. Believe this is in this new world. Man, believe it is. If it ain't on film, somebody saw you, Lord. Unless you out in the country, boondocks, and don't be getting caught out there wrong, because now The other motherfuckers, the demons and all them, they gonna catch you by yourself, and you gonna be missing. Don't you see all these? You know why a lot of those sisters are missing? Because they don't listen to their father, uncles, and brothers, and man. Because they on some old, I'm independent and I don't need no man. I can do what the fuck I want. Okay. Now you out there doing what the fuck you want, and white men and ran up on your ass and bagged you. He's bagging too many of them because they so belligerent. It makes me think of that story when you see that the last Rambo movie he made. Look at when I saw that movie, all I could think about was, now that's some real shit. Because that little girl didn't listen to him. He told her not to go down there. Don't go down there. Oh, she's hard-headed. I'm going to do it anyway. Get in her car, go down there, get betrayed by her so-called friend that wasn't really a motherfucking friend. She was just jealous of her. Anyway, long story short, she ended up dying doing that. Was a badass move. That's why I be saying, you make a badass move, you might recover from it, but it could be, you could make a bad move that's so detrimental, your ass don't come the fuck back from it. Now your family wrecked because nobody wants to bury their fucking children. And y'all assholes are making it. You new millennials, y'all just kill me with the shit y'all be doing. I don't even know, what are you doing? Y'all are the worst. And you talking about, if anybody's killing themselves, it's you motherfuckers. Because y'all don't be really killing up nobody more than y'all kill yourself. Y'all be killing yourself like it's Beirut. God damn. You would think that you was in storming Normandy the way y'all act. Right? And with that, I'm out. My name Divine Understanding, Born to Law. You know how we do it. Ain't you on a free agent yet? They set the record straight. And Son of Man 7, that's publications and production, arranging, all that old good shit. What did he say? Hit like, hit this, hit that, You know, I don't give a fuck about none of that. My name Divine, son. At the God, he said, my name God. I'm out. Peace.